Needn't have worried about Vienna. Even the shattered state I was in last night, I could see it wasn't at all cloying. It's something much subtler and deeper than that. Kind of ironic self-awareness in the whole city, the sort of attitude to its past. Sort of we've seen them come, we've seen them go. We've been the center of a great empire. Now we're a tiny nation in the middle of Europe, watching the great powers fight it out. And over here, there's an enormous war memorial to commemorate the liberation of Vienna in 1945, put up by the Russians, and it's all in Russian. Not a single German word on it. This whole city has a kind of circular feeling. It revolves. This circular business is rather a hard thing to describe, because it's a compound. It's a mixture of actual circular objects, a sort of circular sense of history. Feeling, well, we've seen it all before, now it's coming around again for the second time. Like the church here, Karlskirche. It's Baroque, built about 1700. It incorporates two replicas of Trajan's column in Rome. I think most nations, if they're going to do that, would have paid respect to antiquity by sticking them out in the middle of a square somewhere. Here they're actually built in, part of the building. Originally, the Trajan's column has Roman reliefs, obviously Trajan's exploits. Here they're Christian. History's gone on a bit further. And the form itself, spiraling up, they could have chosen any other column but that to copy. Spiraling almost as if it was a dance floor, dancing a Viennese waltz. Let's give it a whirl. Tag der offenen Tür, which is a one-day in the year when all the officials are in the town hall. Anyone can go in and chat to them, tell them their grievances and so on. And around the town hall where I am, all sorts of odd things going on. Rides in fire engines. There's an elephant somewhere, they said. I can't find it. It seems to me that, again, where, say, Germany would have massed parades for this kind of thing, and we probably wouldn't bother at all. The Viennese here, with things like the jazz group, light-hearted things, are sort of sending up the buildings, and by implication, sending up the mighty past. It's a symbol for a circular city. This is a marvelous thing. It's a giant wheel. It's built by an English engineer in the 1890s, Walter Bassett. He also built one in London, one in Blackpool. They've been pulled down. This one isn't. It's really kept up, and it's the city's pride and joy. It's a place where Orson Welles finally revealed himself as Harry Lime in Third Man. But in spite of that film's marvelous evocation of Vienna in the hard years after the war, it's another film that I think really hits the city for me, and that's La Ronde, in that sequence, just like a wheel, you know, one affair leading to the next, in the end coming full circle back to the first. Sort of circular city, that is done in human terms, this is done in mechanical terms. The city combines them both, I think. And that theme, something La Ronde, the words, tourne mes personnages, it's exactly what Vienna is saying all the time and has been saying through history. People come, people go. The Romans came, The Habsburgs came, the Germans came. Vienna stays there. And not with resignation. This is a marvelous thing. It's not a kind of Indian situation, the will of God. It's just looking at life with an ironic shrug, saying, it's going to be another year tomorrow. I may be alive, I may be dead. It's not a bad way to go on. Where the unknown really starts. We're traveling east out of Vienna, across the last few miles of Austria to the Hungarian border. And already you can get the sense of a great wide plain, a plain to go right down across Hungary, right down all the way to the Danube Delta and the Black Sea. There are rules about filming on Hungarian stations, so the next time you see me, I should be right in the middle of the city of Budapest. I'm certainly right in the middle of Budapest. The city's name are hyphenated. That would be the hyphen. The Danube, which here is a mighty commercial waterway. That side, the hilly side, is Buda. This side, where I am, the flat side, is Pest. That was the first bridge across the Danube, built in 1849. It was designed by British engineers, started by William Tierney Clark, finished by Adam Clark. And if you know the suspension bridge at Marlow across the Thames, you may find a faint echo of it here. The design here is stronger and heavier because Clark did that one too. It's rather sad in a way, this, thinking of the giant wheel at Vienna and now this bridge seem to have been much more to and fro with British architects and engineers in the last century than there is in this. From up here on the Gellert Hill, you can see the whole sweep of the river. It's a magnificent sight, this. And I said right at the beginning of the program, I hadn't been to Budapest, I'd flown over it, and I wanted to come and see one thing very much, and this was it. This great sweep of wooded hills, a wedge which runs right into the middle of the city. It's the effect of Bristol on a much bigger scale. And from here, you can see very much the two halves, Buda there, up and down, Pest over there, flat. If Vienna was a kind of circular city, this is, if you don't mind the word, orthogonal. That is, at right angles. Buda up, Pest along. And yet, the nice thing is that they aren't fighting each other. It really is one city. They're completely complementary. Buda has the Castle Hill, former royal palace, old squares and streets, a kind of medieval city, badly treated in the war, but now reconstructed. It was a small Baroque sort of town, quiet. It was Baroque because it had to be rebuilt after the Turks were driven out in the 17th century. And then, when the Germans were driven out in 1944, it had to be rebuilt again. They say there was only one house standing, complete, that's walls and roof. And so it's been rebuilt slowly and patiently, almost on the scale of rebuilding the center of Warsaw. And the way they've done it I like very much. It gives no impression of being a fake. They're working on it so slowly, so carefully, that they're almost rebuilding it in the tempo in which it was originally built. It's a nice feeling. It doesn't give you any sense of being a fake antique or something preserved at all. The Castle Hill at Buda is special. Pest is ordinary, reassuringly ordinary. A street like this, trams, shops, people walking, window shopping. This could be anywhere in Europe. It's got a slight touch, with all the 19th century buildings here, a slight touch of Glasgow for me. This is on Sauchiehall Street. And this multi-purpose street here is really one of the greatest inventions you can have in the middle of a city. It should never be superseded by too much of pedestrian precincts and lots of places to store cars. The fact that it's all going on here, people and cars and public transport all happening together, is what keeps the heart of a city alive. This very English landscape is in effect Budapest City Park. It's Margaret's Island in the middle of the Danube. The Pest side is over there. It's a good place to sort of sum up what I've learned from Budapest. But it set me thinking an awful lot about this problem of twin cities either side of a big river. Because we have quite a few. As I said, I think Budapest has solved this very well indeed. You get no feeling of one dominating the other at all. I suppose Paris has in the same way with the right and left.